Hey, what's up everyone? My name is College Sports Revived, and it's great to finally be back with more Fordham Rams action here on the College Hoops 2K Legacy Mode series. Coach Carter's journey is back, everyone. It took me a minute to get the next video up in the series because I moved into my own place. So these last 2 weeks have been very hectic, but now I'm starting to get settled in, and I think it's time to return to the series with a jam-packed episode today. So buckle up, everyone. Last time you saw Coach Carter's bunch pre-move, we wrapped up a fun West Coast trip that included 3 wins out of 4 games. Unfortunately, we came up a little shy in the Illinois game. That's the one I really wanted, but we were able to salvage our preseason tournament by winning the consolation ladder thanks to a pretty sound victory over Vanderbilt, 68-56, where Lloyd Hicks and Kai Hendry shined. Hendry turned it up another level in this tournament. We ended up episode 51 by winning this Long Beach State game in simulation as well, and Simmings, where we'll start episode 52 as well. We host Bucknell in what should be a tune-up game for us. The only caveat is we've suffered a practice injury only days before the matchup. Bennett Pincala, who's looked more at home on offense than I've ever seen him this season, suffered a knee injury in practice and will miss the Bucknell game. When a guy's playing well, then has to miss time, you just hope it doesn't hold his momentum. Speaking of momentum, this will leave the chance up to someone who I've been waiting to finally see get it going. Chen Lee will start the Bucknell game as he's been pretty much a non-factor in his senior year so far. He's appeared in all 6 games of the season, yet has only 4 points to show for it, shooting 2 for 7 on the year. Now, we saw him kind of come into his own at points during his sophomore and junior year, but hasn't put it together so far this year. Will the extended action help him get his legs under him? Well, it was a 15-point win for Fordham. Damian had a season high of 13 points, but unfortunately Chen Lee, not only would he fail to score in this game, but he's met the same fate as Pincala, suffering an injury to cut his night short. That is just terrible luck, as that's kind of been the way it's been for Lee, as Fordham loses their second power forward in a matter of days. Luckily though, Bennett looks like he'll be ready to go for the next game, and honestly, with who we're playing, I couldn't see Benny sitting this one out even if Coach Carter tried to make him. Fordham's back on the road for a rematch against the newest rival in the series, the Hofstra Pride. If you remember what went down in the first meeting a season ago, you should not be surprised to see the contempt between these 2 clubs. So let me flash you back to last season's matchup in case you're new to the series. So Hofstra was a tough out last year, but we finally pulled away near the end, but not before all hell broke loose as Benny was at the receiving end of a dirty foul and he decided to take matters into his own hands. On the other end of the floor, Pincala fouled sophomore Rick Tachana, which caused a huge fight to break out, prompting the refs to call the game right then and there and forcing Coach Carter to hand down a 3-game suspension to Bennett. Now this time, we head into hostile territory, and considering the Hofstra campus is less than an hour from the Bronx, I can't imagine a very warm welcome in their gym. Rick Tachana, the guy who Bennett Pincala got into the scrape with last year, he's their top scorer here in Season 5. And on the other side of things, we're also going to be seeing someone who was nearly a Fordham Ram a couple of seasons ago, their point guard Martin Beeler, as Beeler was almost our first 4-star in program history, but at the last moment he signed with Hofstra, prompting Kai Hendry to be the first 4-star we scored. We'll be seeing my boy Martin Beeler today for the first time, a 6'7" guard, and we didn't get to see him last year because he tore his ACL and then he received the medical red shirt. So yep, here we are guys, traveling to Hempstead, New York, and it didn't take long for the boos to rain out as we charge out of the tunnel. This Max Sports complex, nothing but contempt and disgust for Fordham, as you know, Hofstra's become one of the top mid-major programs in this legacy mode, so a good following they have. They probably saw, you know, that game last year, and they were ready for us. I can't remember a gym being this hostile, you know, in this entire series, to be honest. Will this gym get in our heads, or are we going to put that behind us to try to get the job done? It's time to find out. Welcome back to the series, everyone. I'm ready to get back to some basketball. as Hofstra will score the first points. That'll be Rodney Manning, a 6'8 junior who was in on that fight. Him and Rick Tachana were the two proprietors of that fight with Bennett Pincala last year. So it's time to see how he responds and how this team responds. That's a great way to get started. Nice kick out by Lloyd Hicks. 3 points on the board for Pat Park. So the Hofstra Pride, this is going to be a very tough team. Don't let the conference affiliation fool you, as Martin Beeler with the Baby J. Didn't get to see him last year, as you can see with that knee brace on his right knee. He tore his ACL before we got to face this squad, but he's really responded nicely. He's putting together a very productive freshman year, 9 points, 5 assists in 28 minutes as he transitions to their point guard this year. But don't let the CAA, affiliation fool you. Just because these guys aren't in a top conference, these guys can still play, as now they're getting pretty savvy with on the glass. That's the use of Wayne Scott, a 6'8 senior, extending the lead. Everyone on this starting five is at least 6'7", one of the tallest teams in the entire country, as Damian Carter with a little shovel pass back out to Pat Park. Nice job working fast, as Pat Park has the first 7 points on Fordham's side of things. So he's hot for Fordham, but Martin Beeler has been hot for the Hofstra Pride. How about a 3 for the freshman? 8 points for Martin Beeler in his second tray ball in the opening minutes. Damian Carter, he's become one of our defensive anchors, a guy we can trust on that side of the floor, but he's having trouble with the 6'7 guard. Beeler, look at this, stepping it back on 2 defenders. Carter and Pincala both didn't know what hit him, and now Martin Beeler's got 12 out of their 18, matching our total, and another timeout is called. Some reserves check in. We got to start playing some defense. Martin Beeler slides over to the 2, as this one's finally blocked. Nicely done, junior battle. With no Chenley in the lineup for a couple weeks, this is where my man Junior is going to have to really set himself apart and earn that playing time. Oh boy, that was almost a turnover there, trying to go high-low. That was Bennett Pincala. But we'll go inside the junior battle. And now he wants the ISO, puts his shoulder into the defender, and drops in that post hook. It wasn't pretty there, but we had to get it done some way, somehow. 26-22 now with 3:41 left to go in this rivalry game. Luckily, the crowd has been, kind of subdued a little bit, with us playing decently well. But with Martin Beeler this hot, we just can't find that lead, can we? He checks back in and immediately is putting up damage in that scoring column. Who's going to step up and stop number 21? It's even more humiliating that this is a guy that we were trying to get a couple seasons ago. Another double team is brought to the direction of Lloyd Hicks, but he makes another nice pass. Nick Jallo makes three-pointer number 4 on his first year as a Fordham Ram. That Oregon State transfer, the junior, 2 years of eligibility left, and he's really found his niche in a big way as a Fordham Ram here in the first season in the Bronx. Under a minute to go now, but the lead has swelled back up to 7. This team is so tough. Their height, their shooting, their defense, their intensity, everything today. And now they almost force another steal as Lloyd Hicks gets it back and drops it in. He's been one of the few guys, despite the double teams, one of the few guys putting up points today. Lots of guys struggling due to the length of the Pride. Everyone in the starting five above 6'7". You just don't see that every day of the week. And there's so many reasons why this team is tough, but finally, someone stepping up there, Bennett Pincala, and this will then eventually lead to a bucket on the break. Good resiliency display there by Pat Park, 9 points. He's been playing well, but Kaya Hendry has been the X factor in this one. He's really struggled. So we have Lloyd Hicks playing well, Pat Park playing well, but it seems like for every Fordham man having a good day today, there's one that's just not had it, including Kaya Hendry, Damian Carter. It's just too much up and down so far today. This is an intense rivalry game that you don't want to lose after everything that happened last year. And to not only be down to this team, but to let Martin Beeler, the guy who just slipped from our grasp, put up 14 points and nearly half of the team's points for Hofstra. Yeah, that's a pretty embarrassing day so far. But let's see if we can get our ship sailing straight and come back and win and show Hofstra what kind of team we are here in the rematch game. Inside the use of Wayne Scott, though. continuing to just eat us alive underneath. That's what it's been so far today. We gotta have Lloyd Hicks or one of these interior presences really step up, you know, because it's just too easy for them today as Kai Hendry continues to struggle. He got his rebound back for a second, but not only does he have a shot blocked, he also has a turnover in the books as he had it immediately taken away from him off of the offensive rebound, and now a three-pointer for the Hofstra Pride pushes things to 10. Right out of the locker room, things flat-footed for Fordham. No intensity. Who's going to step up on either side of the floor? Look at this. Kaya Hendry gets greedy and tries to go for an off-ball steal. It wasn't a bad idea, but he was too late, and you can't leave a guy who's been this hot. Martin Beeler makes us pay again. Oh my goodness. Fordham not showing up for this critical rivalry game, and they risk having their second loss here in Season 5. A pick for Dustin Black as he comes off the bench. He's normally a really good energizer for us, but he misses the open three. Junior Battle, though, is going to try to play, you know, that type of role today, that energizer role. As up ahead, though, he is a step slow getting back, and then Rick Tachana completely neutralizes what he just did on the other end. Oh my goodness, I just don't know what to say anymore. This team's becoming an open door on defense. A lot of, you know, one-on-one, you know, not enough ball movement here on offense. Our star player, Kai Hendry, struggling after he posted a crazy preseason tournament. He averaged 21 in Maui. And finally, Bennett Pincala, three-point play on his rival, Rick Tachana. The charity stripe successes really bailed us out today. We were 10 of 12 from the line. So not only are we making our free throws, but we're just taking a lot of them. That was what we shot in the first half. And then Pincala hits 2 to help us out a little bit. Kai Hendry checks out in favor of Nick Jallo, as we definitely need the guys that we can trust out there right now. Kaya Hendry, I'm not sure where this cold spell came from, but nice job running the break. Need to do more of that if we're going to have a chance in this one. Dustin Black layup there, and then he's pressuring the backup point guard. Nice to see someone out there who wants to play. Jeez, man. Gotta have somebody delivering that wake-up call, and hopefully Dustin Black did it for us, the leader, the senior, the first ever recruit in this series. Trying to light a fire in his teammates. Should have been a steal there. Dustin Black gets back on the ball, though, and this one looks like it's a steal again. No, and then Dustin Black blocks it, but they get it back once again. That's been how it's going today. Just can't catch a break, can we? Clemens on the baseline, kick out to Helton, over back to Clemens, and he hits the tough shot after 3 times we should have grabbed the rock in that possession. Oh my goodness, Nick Jallo still stays in for Kai Hendry. It's a mystery to see where his production has gone. He had 24 against Illinois, 22 against Harvard, 17 against Vanderbilt, and in this game he's been a non-factor. What is going on with Kai Hendry, and what is going on with this team? What kind of turnover is that? That is just a flagrant disregard of court awareness, of cohesion. This is just a game where Fordham was not ready. They did not show up in this one. Every team has these type of games from time to time, and you try to limit it, but to do it in this gym against this team after what transpired last year is an absolute joke. And we have to go on the road and play Syracuse in only a matter of days. And if we play like this at home against the Orange, then we're going to lose by probably 30 points if we don't get this thing turned around by then. I don't know where this came from, but we should be embarrassed after this one. And as you can see on the score sheet, man, like I said at halftime, for every good performance, there was an awful one. Pat Park, Lloyd Hicks, Nick Jallo, they came to play. Even Dustin Black tried his best to provide a spark along with Junior Battle. But then when you have Kaya Hendry who doesn't show up, Damian Carter who has his worst defensive day of his career, and not enough fight inside as a collective unit against this team, this is what happens. Man, this was something. I don't really know what to say about this one. Hofstra killed us outside. They killed us inside. This was one of the worst defensive performances I've ever seen from this group, with Martin Beeler leading all players with 25. I hope this doesn't affect the signing period. I don't think we're going to be able to score anybody nonetheless, but hopefully no other teams, jump us as the first recruits will sign the dotted line here in the in-season corridor signing period. And since it's been so long, this signing period comes at a great time to reintegrate ourselves with the recruits that we're targeting and where everything lies at the moment. And we're going to start out with 6'9" forward Timothy Givens, who is headed to DC to play under Ed Cooley. I really liked his inside-out offensive game, but he was only our 9th ranked interest. Just not enough interest, reciprocated here. Another big man, J.S. Plike, will be developing under Jawan Howard in Ann Arbor next year, as the Windy City native wasn't too realistic of a target for us either. We have other big men that I like better. Gary Fox won't be coming to the Bronx either. Man, can we get anything to go our way in our return episode to YouTube? Then Mr. Basketball of the state of Massachusetts is headed to UConn, marking the end of the list of guys making their choice in season. But let's re-meet the guys who will be making their college decision in the offseason. First up is Melvin Brewer, a 6'4" dual threat guard who we've been going after for a couple years now. He'd clock in as our highest ranked recruit ever and our first 5-star so far in the series if we can nab him. 6-man Dustin Black's a senior and Kaya Hendry's a junior, meaning his segue to playing time will be imminent. We're in a stalemate for 6'7" Lucian Jedic, a 5-star as well. He's a jack-of-all-trades player from junior college with 3 years of eligibility remaining. Fordham narrowly leads multiple well-regarded Florida programs for him as well. We lead on 4-star Tarek Porter, an insurance policy if Jedic decides he wants to stay close to home. We basically signed undersized forward Dwight Howard as well. We've been going after him for a couple years now, but in case you forgot, he was a 4-star prospect last year who mysteriously slipped down to a 3-star over the offseason. Is it his lack of size that made scouts drop his caliber, or something more? Kelvin Gates, the Mr. Basketball of the Garden State, he also likes Fordham above all else. However, he's shockingly only a 3-star as well. And finally, we have the lead on 7'1", 310-pound Edmund Alloway. He could be an interesting project center in the future. So we finally hear some good news this episode. None of our top prospects seem to be discouraged about coming here despite the embarrassing Hofstra loss. But Syracuse comes to town next too. In case you forgot, beat us on a heartbreaking buzzer beater in the first round of March Madness last year, handing us our second loss in as many games in the NCAA tournament in the Fordham era of this series. But Jim Boeheim retired over the offseason, forcing the Syracuse Orange to make a pretty inspired hire. They brought the Pepperdine coach aboard, who led the Waves to a deep March Madness run in the series last year, and even turned them into a dangerous mid-major team overall. So dangerous, in fact, that the Orange actually lost the rematch against the coach's alma mater 75-68 earlier this season. The Rams themselves will also face the Waves later on in the year for our West Coast trip coming up. Most of the core that knocked us off last year is still intact. Elijah Ambrose is still that leading scorer. He's still that dangerous low post presence. And they also still have one of the best floor generals in the nation with point guard Josh Wainwright at the controls. And of course, the guy who hit the shot that sent us home, Mark DeRozzo, is still suiting up for these guys. This episode hasn't been the warm welcome back to YouTube we were all expecting for our Rams, but a big win in front of our loyal fans to end the installment could undo everything that's happened today. Let's get it started. Come on, guys. We need a huge win today. In case you guys forgot, that loss last year to Syracuse in the first round was in Albany, so plenty of fans from both sides got to see that, and they were very up close and personal with one of the best games played in the tournament last year, that 62-59 physical loss to the Orange last year, as Josh Wainwright, the top-ranked freshman point guard in the class last year, gets the scoring underway for either side. Wainwright, a talented floor general, but as we try to break the press, we try to find some early offense here. Kaya Hendry, the leading scorer for Fordham's side of things in the loss last year. I think early offense will be a big key in this one, as Fordham had, plenty of cold spells against that 2-3 zone of Syracuse in the loss last season. Pat Park out in transition. Yes, they do it again early in the shot clock. Park's second triple of the opening minutes, and you got to think with such a grit and grind game not going their way last year, maybe the Fordham Rams want to speed it up a notch. Here they go again. It's Lloyd Hicks in the open court. Unhook the trailer, big man. He does. Oh, man. All right, Hicks, I see you. That whole break was started by Damian Carter and perhaps some frustration there on Hicks' side of things, as he had a lot of trouble last year. He kind of was underwhelming. He couldn't really find his shots against Syracuse in the 2-3. He only had 5 shot attempts on offense, as look at this. Oh my goodness. Josh Wainwright, can you believe this kid is only a sophomore? Look at this. Takes Damian Carter back out on the perimeter, gives him behind the back move, and basically knifes through a whole defense like nothing. Syracuse up by 4 now with 6 and some change left to go in the first, as our first substitutions check in, including Nick Jallo, who continues to impress the coaching staff. A steal as he immediately comes in off the bench. Oh no, how about this though? A little bit of a miscommunication between Timo Cruz and Dustin Black, and a pretty acrobatic layup that time by backup point guard Linus Costello. One of the many shooters that this Syracuse bench possesses, but he shows a soft touch inside that time. 24-18 game, down by 6. Dustin Black though gets a step, and he'll hand it off to who else other than Timo Cruz. That's why you're on scholarship, my man. That's what you're here for. Timo Cruz, one of the many Richmond High School alumni who decided to play with Coach Carter here in the Big Apple. Now we go to Junior Battle, who's got the mismatch. Double comes though. Timo, Dustin Black looking for another triple. It is off the left iron though, and this may lead to a run out though to Syracuse. Looks like Fordham is not the only team that wants to play fast today. Oh man, I had a bad flashback real quick right there. Mark DeRozzo does that on the break there. He was also the guy that did it last year, that sealed the game, that game winner that he hit. But finally a stop though, as we found ourselves facing a 7-point deficit. Starters come back in with the exception of Dustin Black, but he can't deliver from 3 there. Good look though, but the well has started to run dry from the perimeter, as the Syracuse Orange looking to open up this game even further. Josh Wainwright inside, blanketed by white jerseys, but will draw the foul. This is something that they did last year as well. They're back in the bonus. This is a very physical Syracuse team, and they won that battle for sure last year. Free throw attempts and free throw makes. Lloyd Hicks and Bennett Pincala both dealt with foul trouble as well last year, so they're going back to their calling card, trying to get into the penalty, or get us into the penalty, and shoot a lot of free throws. They've been doing that today. Almost a turnover there by Damian Carter. Can we get the stop before the break? Nope. That is Jason Richard, the backup forward, hitting a 3. But Damian Carter does take it the length of the court to at least set up Pat Park. He can't get the first one to drop, but will keep it swinging though. How about Kaya Hendry? And it was set up by the resiliency of Pat Park, grabbing his own mix and keeping the possession alive. Not too pretty again though. Fordham needs to wake up a little bit, or else this is going to be a pretty depressing episode to bring us back into action. Look at that. It's 14 3-point attempts. We've been trying to take what the Syracuse 2-3 is giving us and play a lot faster this year, but we're not winning that battle. We're not winning the rebound battle, which is something you have to do if you're going to play an opponent that just sits in a zone all day. And I also wanted to get Lloyd Hicks some more action today after he struggled in the game last year and was a non-factor on offense. That hasn't really been the case. Another non-factor has been Kai Hendry, though, who will mark the scoring column for the first time out of any Fordham Ram here in the second half, as we try to provide a spark, crowd getting up on their feet, trying to get loud, trying to provide some sort of stability for this Fordham team that desperately needs it. They've not been playing their best basketball this episode, as Syracuse comes out in a full court man press, trying to slow this tempo down. It'll do the exact opposite as Kaya Hendry looks to get going. And that he is. He's already almost doubled his first half output of scoring, 44-40. This lead is starting to dwindle. So who will be Syracuse's go-to guy here? It'll be Josh Wainwright for 2 more. As Damian Carter, he's been so good defensively since he stepped foot on campus. I guess everyone, just has an off day on either side of the floor. He surrendered 14 to Josh Wainwright, the number 1 point guard in the previous year's class. How about Pat Park, though, trying to go baseline? Look at this. You can't allow this if you're going to play a zone. Pat Park was our leading scorer last year with a calm, cool, and collected 16, 4, 3, 1 steal, 1 block stat line. And he can only hit 1 of 2, but how about number 32, who gets down and dirty on the glass? Lloyd Hicks. If the game isn't going to come to him, he's going to have to do it himself. It's been an ugly one for Hicks. That dunk he had in the first half was his only field goal to this point. He's now 2 for 9 shooting, a guy who we're always dependent upon to be so consistent and efficient. Let's see if that's the one that gets him going. How about a jumper now from 15 feet? He's been working on that. All right, and that has lit a fire in this crowd. 6-man meter full, down by a bucket. Fordham not going anywhere. Desperately needed that one. Great find by Damian Carter. His 4th assist, trying to put his bad defensive day behind him, and that goes for Lloyd Hicks as well, trying to put his bad offensive day in the rearview mirror. 8:23 left to go, 5-point Syracuse advantage, and let's see if these two can do it again. Damian Carter tries to find him in the painted area. Everyone's surrounding Lloyd Hicks, but to no avail. He's up to 10, which will give him a double-double. Timeout. Syracuse, the former Pepperdine coach, trying to find an answer for Lloyd Hicks, who's starting to get it going. But I'm sorry, they just don't match up with him. A zone, a man. Good luck against Lloyd Hicks, the 7'1" beast from Montgomery, Alabama. A free throw goes for Syracuse, but again, they're sticking with this full court man, and our guards are just way too fast for that. Dustin Black, pull up 3 in transition, and yet another dime by Damian Carter. Junior battle now on the perimeter, trying to stick Jason Richard, who's very versatile at that 4 spot, and he'll drop in a layup. 8 points off the bench for Jason Richard, a 6'6" senior from Jersey City, New Jersey. And now 6:40 left to go in the ball game. Nick Jallo, who's been a little bit more quiet this one, up to the top of the key. Pump fake. Damian Carter, kick out. Timo Cruz. It's the Richmond boys who tie the game. Poetic justice indeed. Timo Cruz with his 2nd tray ball. And the assists keep coming in bunches for the coach's son. Inside, too much defensive pressure in there for Christian Okoye. He can't finish. And now 6:10 left to go. It's Damian Carter who thought about it from 3, but he'll set up the zone offense. Inside, junior battle. Puts his shoulder into Jason Richard. No answer now on defense. This 2-3 zone, we've had enough of it. And we have our first lead of the contest with 5:52 left to go. Let's see if Fordham can finish strong and get some payback from the L that these guys handed us last year. Our Rams have definitely been righting some wrongs. The things we needed to work on in the first half, we've been doing it here in the second as Kai Hendry bodies up Lee Emmett as he checks back in. Jason Richard, though, a tough shot from the corner. I can't say anything negative about Pat Park's defense there. Sometimes a guy just hits a shot, and the 6'6" senior's having a great day, but he cannot stop the lane in time. Kaya Hendry back in off the bench. He's going to need a big 4 minutes here. He was one of our big players in the loss last year. He had 19, 6 of 12 shooting. Oh, man, but the struggles continue now. It's a free throw that misses for number 44. Hendry's never really had that. I'm not really sure why. I know I've discussed that in this series before. He's only a 66% free throw shooter for his career, and he misses both. But guess who? It's Pat Park who can't finish, though, man. Why? We're so close time and time again this game of truly taking back control. And here's a triple for Syracuse. Wow, that was a brick, though. I was expecting that one to go in because that's the type of game it's been, but we slip in a pass to Kai Hendry. The break is cut off, though. Under 4 to play now. We have to set it up. Syracuse surprisingly going man this possession. Nick Jallo playing some big minutes as he hits Kai Hendry on the backdoor feed, but it's stolen. McDonald with the steal. Wainwright in transition, but it's blocked by Lloyd Hicks. What a play. He came up big last year on the defensive end, and he's done it yet again. Lloyd Hicks has been an animal on both ends. What a chase down block against the former number 1 point guard in the class last season. Lloyd Hicks, don't forget about him last year. I know he didn't play well on O in the loss in March Madness, but he did hold Elijah Ambrose to 2 of 8 shooting last year. And he's been honestly serving up again on that side of the floor. 3:20 left to go. Crowd on their feet. A 6-man meter maxed out after that incredible defensive play. Hicks trying to draw the defense to him, setting up the kick out to Kaya Hendry. 16 on the game, his third three of the contest. Timeout, Syracuse. Man, you would have to be blind to not see the progression over the years from Kaya Hendry, the now junior. One of the big negatives we had for him was that he just didn't show up in big games a lot. Well, these last couple years, he's definitely changed that. And he's come up huge in the second half after the first half didn't really go his way. Damian Carter, though, he's having such a forgettable night on the defensive end and riding off the inbound. He bites on a fake, Wainwright goes baseline, and Nick Jallo tried to draw the charge to no avail. Josh Wainwright, 17 on the night, and now tying the game at 64 apiece. Oh my goodness, are we going to see another heartbreak? Oh, no we are not. Kaya Hendry has something to say about that, now matching his output from a season ago. What a gutsy shot, man. Oh man, that is the type of shot selection that will get you benched if it didn't fall, but it did, so we don't have to worry about that one. Under a minute to play here. Oh my goodness. We are in another doozy with the Syracuse Orange. Mark Durazo, don't let him be the hero, Pat Park. He'll kick it to Elijah Ambrose, who has been radio silent today, thanks to that man grabbing his 12th rebound. Lloyd Hicks, you can count on him on defense in a pinch, and he does it again. We can extend the game to 2 possessions. Syracuse back to the 2-3 zone. 20 on the shot clock, 31 left in the game. High post to Park. Hendry for 3. Book it for Kaya Hendry. I can't believe it. He's done it once again. His 4th 3 of the second half, and it would be the one to send us home happy. Oh my goodness. Fordham has done it. They have knocked off Syracuse in one of the most satisfying wins of our journey so far here with the maroon and white. Kaya Hendry, 22 points on the night, 17 of those coming in the second half alone. And yet again, Kaya proves that he has come a long way against premier competition. I would have never expected a game like this as a freshman. But now, in one of the biggest stages of his career, he puts on his big boy pants and helps us secure a huge one by 7. Park played well, Damian Carter facilitated well, and Lloyd Hicks putting that pretty forgettable game last year in the rearview mirror. 12 points, 12 rebounds. He started out 2 for 9 shooting, but he finishes making his last 3 and last 2 free throws as well, also adding 4 steals and 4 blocks. What can't my man do? The bench also played very cohesively, and we also won the turnover battle. I mean, what else can I say about this team, man? Super proud of them responding after not only losing to these guys last year, but also losing to Hofstra in a pretty emotional defeat on the road against pretty bitter rivals. We overcame a lot to give you guys our first win back since coming back to YouTube. Now we improved to 7-2 on the year with some pretty big games still left to go in our non-conference schedule. We're going to try to start another winning streak as we then simulate our next game against a tune-up opponent, Stony Brook. 74-53 is your final. Hendry again comes up big with 18. Pat Park 14. Lloyd Hicks another near double-double with 4 more blocks. We finally have that rim protector we've been seeking in this series, and that's where we're going to end it here. 8-2 record overall, with Providence being our next opponent, a top 10 team to welcome us in the next episode, and then that actually makes it 2 out of our next 3 opponents being top 25 teams, with Pepperdine being 6-1 on the year, and having the previous coach of UT Martin, the guy who took over for Coach Carter there, Coach A. Falls. He goes to Pepperdine, takes over for the old coach that left for Syracuse, and Pepperdine will actually be our final non-conference opponents of this season. So I welcome you back. I'm very glad to have you back. Obviously, that goes without saying. I missed you guys. I missed our team, and I missed still vying for our first March Madness win of this series. It was a long episode, but I hope you enjoyed. I had a lot of fun doing this, man. I've been missing this series for sure, and I'm sure a lot of you guys have been too. I appreciate the messages. I had one guy message me over Instagram. I've seen messages on YouTube, and I'm all good, guys. I appreciate you guys checking up on me, but I'm glad to be back, and I hope you guys are excited for more Fordham Rams action coming soon. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you guys soon. I'm signing out. Stay tuned for more here on College Sports Revived.